From our studio in Georgetown, this is the TV Delmarva Channel 14 News at 4.
Good day, Delmarva. Reporter Rob Petrie here for TV Delmarva Channel 14 News. Straight ahead, Delaware State Police are investigating after a home was shot up in Lincoln. Delaware sees an increase in the number of suicides when compared to the national average. And NYPD have identified a suspect in the subway shooting. A nationwide manhunt is underway. These stories and more coming up, but weather first with Hunter Alton.
Good Wednesday afternoon, Delmarva. Is it April outside, or does it feel more like almost June? We're seeing widespread areas of well above average temperatures, especially for inland locations. Taking a live look outside of North Ocean City, Maryland, we're starting to see a little bit more in the way of those high thin cirrus clouds out there, but we're still seeing some sunshine regardless. But coastal locations, especially in Ocean City, are a little bit cooler because of that southerly breeze, so we're starting to see a little bit of some onshore flow right along the coast. Currently 66 degrees in North Ocean City. Take a look at some satellite and radar. You can see that stream of high thin cirrus clouds moving in from the west out ahead of our next storm system that is creating a severe weather outbreak for portions of the southern Gulf states as well as the Midwest. Now, we are expecting that cold front to move through the areas tomorrow, but we're not really expecting anything significant out of this. Maybe a couple of thunderstorms here and there, but another warm day is ahead for your Thursday. Let's have a look at those temperatures elsewhere on Delmarva at this hour. Widespread 80s pretty much everywhere here on the shore. Right now, 83 degrees here in Georgetown, 81 in Salisbury, 79 in Pocomoke City, 81 for Easton, 77 for Centreville, 80 degrees in Dover and Newark, and currently 79 in Wilmington. No surprise, we are seeing a little bit of an increase in those dew points with that southerly flow. Dew points right now generally in the upper 50s and even some low 60s in areas of Easton and Centreville. Take a look at some of the sustained winds out there with that warm southerly flow. Sustained anywhere between about 7 and even 13 miles per hour in Salisbury and Pocomoke City, and as well as for Exmoor. Factor in some wind gusts. We're seeing some areas with some wind gusts over 20 miles per hour, like right now, gusting from the southwest at 22 in Georgetown, 22 as well for Salisbury, 20 miles per hour for Easton, 20 for Exmoor, and from the south in Cape Charles at 21 miles per hour. Now, we're still going to be dealing with some well above average temperatures going into the day on Thursday, but we will be introducing some scattered thunderstorms as well, and a cool down just in time for the start of the new work week next week. I'll have all those details in your pinpoint forecast in just a little bit.
Delaware State Police are investigating after a home was shot up in Lincoln. According to State Police, on Tuesday, troopers were called to a home in the 10,000th block of DuPont Boulevard for reports of shots fired. The investigation revealed that on April 11th, around 10 p.m., a 38-year-old female was inside the home when she heard gunshots outside. After further investigation the following morning, police say the resident discovered multiple bullet holes in the exterior of the home and in a vehicle parked just outside. In addition, there was an 18-year-old male and 2 juveniles inside the house at the time of the shooting. Thankfully, no one was injured, but at this time, there is no suspect information or any surveillance images available. Anyone with any information is urged to contact police. Well, Delaware saw an increase of suicides in 2020, surpassing the national rate, which actually saw a decrease. We got a chance to sit down with Kat Ulbrich, Maryland and Delaware Area Director for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention.
It's a very interesting year. So just to understand, our data is always 2 years behind. It comes from the Center of Disease Control. So for decades, the suicide rate went up. It was the 10th leading cause of death in the U.S. In 2019, we saw the first national drop. And then we saw another drop in 2020. And then when you look closer in Maryland, actually the numbers are being reflected the same way. We had a decrease of suicides in 2020. But in Delaware, unfortunately, we had an increase of 13 suicides. So we lost 124 Delawareans in 2020. So it's very interesting to see that each state had a different impact. We don't know how the pandemic impacted mental health and suicide overall, but there was definitely some sort of impact. And we really also need to keep in mind that there was not one single reason why somebody died by suicide. There's always several factors that come together. And so it's really hard for us to tell why the rates are going up and down, but we're hopeful that they stay down. There's no data on this, right? We cannot monitor somebody's behavior when they're at home, when they go to school. There is no data collected on this. What we do see is, and that's across the US, that there was an increase in ER visits, that people at least self-reported that they had mental health struggle. You also need to keep in mind we are now more aware of how to talk about mental health and the fact that we have mental health, right? I think the pandemic really changed the way we think about mental health.
Now, significant steps are being taken to connect those who need help with help, including a new 3-digit number that people can call to get connected with resources.
So right now, the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is a 10-digit number. It's really hard to remember, especially when you're in crisis, when you need a quick call. It's really difficult to remember. So come July 16, that system is going to switch over to 988. This is going to be available across the nation. So wherever you are, you'll be able to call 988 when you're in mental health crisis. It's also helpful because you no longer have to call 911, right? So 911 is for emergency when somebody is trying to take their life, when they're in the midst of an attempt. But if you have a mental health crisis, 988 or the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is currently the best solution.
So if someone is seeing this interview and may know somebody who, is struggling right now, and they may think that they may be considering something like that, or a person themselves who's watching, may be, in that kind of unfortunate position, what help is there for them, and what can they do, and what words do you have for them?
Right. So when you feel like your mental health is deteriorating, sometimes we don't even know what that looks like, but if you feel something is off, try to investigate, is this a physical or maybe a mental health issue? I really encourage you to reach out to a doctor, a primary care physician, a mental health professional to get an evaluation and see, is this a physical or a mental health issue, right? And if it is a mental health issue, and you even have thoughts about suicide, then you really need to ask for help. You need to reach out to a loved one that can support you, that can guide you. Because when you're in a suicidal crisis, your thinking becomes very limited. You can reach out to the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-8255. And there's a crisis text at 741-741. Both are free, anonymous, which means they don't know who you are, and you can always reach out to them. There's a counselor on the other end that can help you talk through this. Please also know that a suicidal episode mostly lasts between seconds and minutes, right? So we need to keep that person safe during that time. Talking to people helps a lot because talking can resolve issues. We just think through it a little bit more differently. So having a conversation is really important. Show that you care, that you remind the loved one that you love them because their brain is telling them differently, right? And then also take them to a primary care physician, take them to a mental health professional. If it's urgent, take them to an ER, which is not the perfect setting for mental health. But if you feel like you're too overwhelmed and this is the only way you can help that person, please take them to a hospital.
It's official. The Delaware Division of Motor Vehicles DMV on-the-go trailer is officially open for business. The new trailer features updated stations, ADA accessible capabilities, and performs all transactions as a traditional DMV except for inspections, road exams, driver improvement, and uninsured motorist services. Now, this alternative to brick-and-mortar DMV locations allows customers who may not be able to travel all the way to a traditional DMV location to complete their necessary DMV services right in their own neighborhoods. The mobile DMV will be in Wilmington on Tuesdays and in Seaford on Thursdays. More DMV on-the-go locations will be announced soon. Coming up, April is Earth Month, and Governor Carney, along with members of his cabinet, kicked it off in a big way. More details coming up. Don't go away. Governor John Carney joined volunteers and representatives of DNREC and the Delaware Department of Agriculture to kick off the Tree for Every Delawarean Initiative, or TEDI, TEDI for short, in Felton on Monday. The initiative was announced in 2021 to plant 1 million trees. That's one for every Delaware resident across the state. Governor Carney says the initiative will not only benefit generations to come, but trees that are a valuable tool to help reduce our carbon footprint and accomplish a commitment to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by at least 26% by 2025. Trees also provide a buffer zone for low-lying coastal areas and waterways. So far, over 50,000 trees have been planted. Well, it's looking like we're in store for cloudy skies and mild conditions tonight as we get a preview of your pinpoint weather forecast with Hunter Alton.
Extremely mild temperatures this afternoon will lead to some increasing clouds tonight, but those mild temperatures will be sticking around. Thursday will feature more temperatures in the 80s, but will introduce a cold front in the afternoon that may spark some scattered thunderstorms. And a cooler weather pattern is in store beginning next week. Just how much colder are we talking about? I'll let you know when we come back here on TV Delmarva Channel 14 News. All right, Delmarva, let's get right into the pinpoint forecast for the overnight hours into Thursday. After having such a fantastic day across the region, even tonight is looking quite nice. Even though we are going to be looking at some mostly cloudy skies, there is a very, very slim chance of some sprinkles, especially in the northern areas of Delmarva. But other than that, take a look at these temperatures, 63 to 67 degrees tonight. It is going to be still a little bit breezy at times from the southwest, between 10 and 15 miles per hour. At least it's a warm breeze, but you can't beat these temperatures during the overnight hours for the month of May. It's a good night to take the kids out to the boardwalk, maybe get some Thrasher fries or some ice cream to treat yourself, because enjoy this while it lasts, because we are going to be looking at temperatures back to reality going into next week. Take a look at Futurecast, rest of the overnight hours into the day on Thursday. This is 8 o'clock tonight. Even just after sundown, we're still looking at some fairly mild temperatures in the mid-70s with partly to mostly cloudy skies. Going into the heart of the overnight hours, we're still going to be dealing with some clouds, temperatures in the mid and upper 60s. Very, very mild for this time of year. But waking up tomorrow morning, temperatures about the same, anywhere between about 66 to 68 degrees. But we are going to be looking at more sunshine as we wake up for Thursday morning. But by the time we get into the early afternoon hours, once again, the 80s return, but we are going to be watching out for a cold front over towards areas of the western shore of Maryland that will continue to move off towards the east, and by the mid-afternoon hours could be sparking some scattered showers and maybe even a few isolated thunderstorms here and there. Still fairly mild with temperatures near 60 degrees at 6 p.m., but by 10 o'clock, take a look at the temperatures. So we start cooling off behind that front, dipping down into the upper 50s, and we're still going to be dealing with some scattered rain chances throughout much of the evening hours. Take a look at the Thursday forecast overall. We got partly sunny skies. Watch out for some areas of some scattered thunderstorms in the mid-afternoon hours. Your highs, 78 to 83 degrees. Still going to be dealing with that warm southerly breeze between 10 and 15 miles per hour. Now, from the Storm Prediction Center, we do have a marginal risk of severe weather for all of Delmarva, including the Maryland Western Shore. That's a level 1 out of 5 risk for the chance that maybe some of these storms might contain some stronger winds that might knock down some tree limbs or so, but the probability is fairly low at this time. What's not going to be fairly low is that allergy index for tomorrow, with the warmer temperatures, the increasing wind, and the chance of some showers. The highest levels we've seen so far, nearly maxing out the scale, 11.3 out of 12 on that allergy index in the form of tree pollen and poplar, juniper, and maple. Now take a look at the marine conditions for tomorrow. Beginning with the Atlantic, we got scattered thunderstorms, 70 degrees, winds from the southwest at 15 to 20 miles per hour, and we got some larger swell at about 3 to 5 feet. Take a look at the Delaware Bay. We got scattered thunderstorms as well, 73 degrees, winds from the southwest at 15 to 20 miles per hour with seas of 1 to 2 feet. And then the Chesapeake Bay, Scattered thunderstorms, 75 degrees, winds from the southwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour, with seas of 1 to 2 feet expected. Now, going into the overnight hours tomorrow night, we will be dealing with some rounds of showers, and maybe some of the showers may contain a little bit of some thunder here and there. But the bigger story is going to be those cooling down temperatures. 47 to 52 degrees with some light winds from the north between 5 and 10 miles per hour. Now let's take a look at that extended outlook, because after tomorrow we are going to be done with the 80s. We're still going to be a few degrees above average going into Friday and Saturday, with some drier conditions in the upper 60s to about 70 degrees. It's once we get into Sunday where we drop temperatures a few degrees below average, all thanks to that cold front, with mostly sunny skies, but we will introduce some more rain chances at the start of the work week next week, with the coolest day on Monday with a high of 57 degrees.
Coming up, a nationwide manhunt is underway for a suspect in the New York City subway shooting. More details straight ahead. Keep it here. A nationwide manhunt is underway for the suspect wanted in connection with Tuesday's mass shooting on the subway at 36th Street Station in Brooklyn. The attack left at least 29 people shot or injured. Police are searching for 62-year-old Frank R. James, who they believe is responsible for the attack. NYPD issued the following alert just this morning, asking for the public's help to locate James, who they say fired numerous gunshots inside an N-Line subway car at 36th Street and 4th Avenue subway station, causing serious injury to at least 10 people. Anyone with any information should immediately contact NYPD Crime Stoppers or call 1-800-577-TIPS.
Weather Classroom is sponsored by No Nonsense Office Machines, committed to providing quality products and services with over 15 years of experience here in Sussex County. All right, ladies and gentlemen, today's weather lesson we will be learning about what are mesoscale convective systems, or MCSs for short. An MCS is a cluster of storms that move as one singular system. An MCS can bring just a few storms only a few miles wide and grow to the size of an entire state. Also, an MCS can travel for hundreds of miles and last for more than 12 hours at a time. When observed on satellite or radar, an MCS can initially look like just a small cluster of storms and then grow into an absolute monster. It can also grow from a round cluster of storms to a solid or even a broken line of storms altogether. An MCS is fueled by daytime heating and an abundance of moisture, typically gaining strength at night, reaching its maximum intensity and the greatest potential to produce damaging winds and excessive rainfall. Not to mention an outstanding display of lightning, since these storms can be very large in size, covering even a couple of states. As the MCS begins to weaken and eventually dies out, it can leave behind something known as a mesoscale convective vortex, or MCV, which is a counterclockwise circulation that can last for several more hours or even a few days and become the catalyst for future storms down the line. Sometimes leftover MCSs during hurricane seasons can jumpstart the development of tropical cyclones in the Atlantic Basin. Pretty neat, huh? A mesoscale convective system are fascinating weather systems possessing beauty in structure and the potential to provide life-giving moisture to rain-starved areas, relief from excessive heat, and as well as the potential for producing widespread damage that can sometimes have, unfortunately, deadly consequences. One of the more recent destructive MCSs that has impacted Delmarva was all the way back on June 29th and June 30th in 2012, which eventually turned into something known as a derecho and produced severe wind damage across several states from Illinois to Delaware.
Well, that about does it for us today, Delmarva. Be sure to follow us on Facebook at TV Delmarva and on our website, tvdelmarva.com, for real-time news and weather updates. And while you're there, be sure to sign our petition calling on the major cable providers to carry TV Delmarva on their platforms so we can provide this kind of local programming to all of Delmarva. Until next time, I'm Rob Petrie reporting for TV Delmarva, Channel 14 News.